Hey there, just wanted to take a second to say thank you for checking out the podcasts at MMR. Am I getting paid for this? Let me know.
B-Pod Studios.
Now, WMMR presents Kristen and Steve's Bizarre File.
An Oklahoma woman says she woke up ready to start her day only to find her apartment unit covered in feces.
Oh, man.
Francine McCullough said, I woke up to go to the restroom. I stepped down, and it's right here on my legs.
Doodle feces?
She is now
feces thrown all over the walls.
Now left without furniture and clothes. She said
Hello, doodle feces. Can I help you? You want your apartment doodled feces? We'll be right over.
She said there were 4 inches of feces.
4 inches?
Ew.
Erupted from her bathroom toilet. It flooded the floors of her apartment.
Yeah, this is doodle feces.
She said, how am I supposed to move it? With what money? I mean, I have nothing. I can't do nothing with nothing.
You can't do nothing with nothing?
The mess left a line on McCullough's couch, and now she says most of her stuff is ruined. She's not the only one devastated. Her neighbor said, I've lost everything. I have nothing left, no bed, nothing to sleep on.
Nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
Karen Klima said that all her grandson's toys are now destroyed.
Because they're covered in doodle feces.
Correct. Both women said the apartment managers are to blame.
What happened?
I don't know. They're looking into it right now. They were wondering if it was a sewer backup or something that had to do with the apartment unit.
Maybe it was the doodle feces company got the wrong address.
The manager, that happens from time to time. It's rare, but it does happen. The managers are moving both women into new units. They said the tenants are
These ones are covered in piss.
Responsible for replacing their damaged items.
That's horrible.
Yeah. This is a horrible story, too. A 28-year-old central Minnesota man died on Sunday evening after he was attempting to retrieve a bobber from a lake. The man had been out fishing on the dock. Just before 8 p.m., he went into the water to get a bobber.
Are we talking about for fishing, for a standard bob? Yeah.
Yeah. During his retrieval efforts, he began to struggle and went under the surface and then never came back up. I'm always amazed at stuff like this. I mean, it's a lake.
Yeah.
And you're just, a bobber can't be that far out.
No.
And he just went under and never came up.
Do you know what I think happens in a lot of these cases? People panic. And when you panic, something happens, or perhaps you get thrown off, and it can kill you.
Yeah, then maybe you take a
mouthful of water,
and next thing you know,
I was thinking about that poor girl that the carbon monoxide and
off the back of the boat. The engine was running, and she was just hanging there, and probably unaware that she was passing out.
Yeah.
So multiple agencies responded to the scene and searched the lake. They found the man and attempted life-saving measures, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. They are not naming the victim as of yet. Here's a story out of Singapore. Saw Piang So Thu was jailed for a year and a month after he pleaded guilty to one count of voluntarily causing hurt with a dangerous weapon.
You have caused hurt with a dangerous weapon.
The Myanmar national and his 38-year-old compatriot, Ong Win Hutut, had worked on a fish farm located at sea. Now, about 1 to 2 months before the incident, Ong walked around the fish farm naked, prompting Saw to tell him not to walk around naked. Things came to a head when Ong emerged from a shower without clothes. Saw was cooking when his coworker walked to the cooking area to turn off the fire heating to his kettle. Saw was cooking on the stove when Ong appeared naked behind him. Uneasy, Saw scolded his coworker and was angry at his colleague for being in the nude. A while later, Saw consumed half a bottle of rice wine.
I just got out of the shower.
The intoxicated man felt furious as his coworker repeatedly appeared naked, so he took out a mallet, usually used to kill fishes, from the storage area and approached Ong, who was talking on the phone. Saw then hit the victim on the forehead with the mallet.
With the mallet?
The victim fell to the ground and bled from his forehead. He contacted the owner of the fish farm to help, and they called police. An ambulance conveyed him to the hospital. Ow! Ong sustained a forehead laceration and a sinus bone fracture, for which he underwent surgery.
Because he was walking around naked.
And Saw was arrested the next day. For voluntary causing hurt with a dangerous weapon, he could have been jailed up to 7 years or fined or caned or with any combination of the punishments. But they gave him a year.
That's one of the most wild police reports I've ever heard.
I know. Yeah. Don't be naked.
No,
I'll hit you
don't
with a fish mallet.
And if you're going to be naked, don't be naked around Saw.
And then we'll go to one more story. A woman, this is a follow-up story. A woman who was charged with literally crashing her ex-boyfriend's funeral is in more legal trouble. Blair Rebecca Whitten previously had apparently, this is another crime, spray-painted a statue of Jesus. And she was charged in May for a raucous incident at the funeral of her ex-boyfriend, Colin, who reportedly passed away in his sleep after complications from minor surgery. Whitten ran over grave sites and attempted to run people over, according to mourners cited by police.
Okay, so...
Yeah, we had that story a couple weeks
ago.
Right,
oh, right. So she spray painted
spray painted, Jesus' face black, apparently, is what she did. So McDonald's mother, Joan McIntyre, said that she heard someone screaming. She left the tent to see a car driving off about 50 miles an hour and people yelling, "She just ran over me."
She's wound a little tight.
Whitten had allegedly been told to keep away from the funeral because she posted harassing messages on social media after McDonald's died. She insisted that she caused no trouble after the funeral and left after being confronted by others at the scene. That incident was back on May 5th. She pleaded not guilty, but on April 17th in the early morning, she is the person who spray painted black the face of a statue of Jesus at St. Mary's Cathedral.
She seems like a catch.
I know. She is charged with one count of misdemeanor criminal mischief. The alleged motive behind that incident remains unclear. So she's quite a gal.
You should learn knitting.
93.3 WMMR, audio on demand. It's the Bizarre File Podcast.
A burglar has been jailed after breaking into a theater where he then made himself a cup of tea and fell asleep.
It's delightful, actually. I got a little sleepy.
Adrian Edwards snuck into the Central Theater, and
committing larceny is so taxing.
He stole a laptop, a drill, and a pair of shoes before making himself the beverage and then lying down and falling asleep.
Earl Grey, I like it so much.
Edwards was then woken up later by a worker who had arrived at the theater for the start of a shift.
Who kicked me in my balls.
He then quickly fled the building with his stolen goods. After the break-in, police investigators did a forensic examination of the blood found near a window well.
Oh, so he cut himself coming in?
I guess so, yeah. As in open cans of drinks and cigarettes that Edwards had discarded, all of which matched his DNA. Officers discovered some medication at the scene in his name as well. Police patrols examined the video, and Edwards was arrested later on that same day.
So he was leaving containers that had his name?
Yeah, right? Yes.
He really didn't think this through.
I guess not.
No.
Edwards was jailed for 1 year and 4 months after pleading guilty to burglary. Edwards thought that he had time to make a cup of tea, but instead left a trail of evidence for the police.
There's always time for tea.
An afternoon on the lake unexpectedly turned into a close encounter with wildlife for beachgoers in California. A large adult black bear and 3 cubs took to a South Lake Tahoe beach on Sunday. Pierre's there right now.
He sure is.
I didn't even think of that.
Look at the beard on that guy. It's like there's one white spot. How does he do that?
To run and play in the water as about a dozen onlookers watched in awe. The cubs wrestled in the lake as they beat the high temperatures, which hit 90 degrees in South Lake Tahoe that day. The 4 bears,
where are you folks from?
Along with a few wild geese, made a day at the lake resemble a spontaneous day at the zoo for beachgoers. Jen Watkins, who was there, said, "We were all a little shocked." She filmed the bear. She said the bear took off with somebody's cooler before returning into the forest. Authorities said that getting close to bears is very dangerous. We are in their territory when we're in the foothills and in the Sierra Nevada. Don't feed them, don't entice them, don't provoke them. And obviously in a setting like this, don't approach them. Respect their space.
What if they ask you to put some lotion on?
Well, by the way, a growing number of bears in the Sierra Nevada have been found to suffer from encephalitis, an inflammation of the brain, and it makes bears, what they say, dog-like in behavior and more fearless around humans. At least
that's a problem.
Yeah, at least 4 bears in California have been found to have the disease since March 2020. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife officials will monitor the black bears and move any bears that wander into areas where people gather. A California man faces federal charges after allegedly transporting tons of explosives from out of state, including devices that later exploded in a police bomb disposal truck that ended up injuring 17 people.
That was some wild footage.
This is all fireworks stuff. So
yes.
Arturo Queja was arrested by special agents from the ATF. He's accused of transporting explosives without a license or permit. He was initially arrested after Los Angeles police received a tip and found a large stockpile of fireworks at his home. The initial investigation by authorities estimated approximately 5,000 pounds of fireworks were found.
They blow it up.
However, the ATF determined that he was storing approximately 32,000 pounds of fireworks in his backyard.
Could have leveled everything.
Yeah. According to a criminal complaint, Queja made several trips to Nevada in late June to purchase various types of explosives, including aerial displays and large homemade fireworks containing explosive materials that he transported to his residence in rental vans.
It's got to be such a thrill to find out, like, your neighbor collects fireworks or makes their own. Oh, that's great.
By the way, fireworks in California can be sold for as much as 4 times what purchasers will pay in Nevada. While the fireworks are being removed from his home, the LAPD bomb squad determined some of the homemade fireworks with explosive materials were not safe to transport due to the risk of detonation in a densely populated area. So they destroyed those fireworks at the scene using what's called a total containment vessel, a TCV.
Total.
During the destruction of the devices, the entire TCV itself exploded.
Yeah, I saw it. There's footage of it. It's amazing.
It should have contained it, and it caused a massive blast radius, damaging homes in the neighborhood and injuring a total of 17 law enforcement personnel and civilians.
We're going to need one of them total trucks.
Nearby buildings and vehicles were also damaged. So, wow, pretty intense. And there were actually several fireworks mishap stories. I mean, like the one from the guy from the Blue Jackets, the goaltender who died, was hit in the chest with a mortar and killed him.
And then there was that story in Ocean City, Maryland, where the truck exploded
during the daytime.
Yeah, and it was, I guess, destined for their fireworks display that night. Which
and they got it in broad daylight.
Yeah.
And then there was a story, I think, in Bangkok. Did you see that as well?
I had a story. No, I had a guy hit someone in the head with. No, that was in Singapore. What happened in Bangkok?
Another explosion, and they show people sitting in their home, their living room camera, security camera, and the place just gets decimated.
No, it's
not good.
Yeah. All right, we got time for another story. How about this one? An Austrian had the kind of morning that nightmares are made of on Monday when a python slid through his drains and bit him while he was sitting on the toilet.
No, come on.
Yeah.
Is that real?
It's real.
The stunned 65-year-old turned around to see a roughly 5-foot albino.
I'm a snake and I'm real.
A roughly 5-foot-long albino reticulated python in the bowl.
Jesus.
He had said shortly after he sat on the toilet, he felt a pinch in the area of his genitals.
Snake biting your nutsack.
Wow. And they're not poisonous, but they have big fangs,
Sure.
man.
That honestly, occasionally, do you ever have a thought if you're in another country or something?
Yeah, something might crawl up there and
bite my ass.
The snake is thought to have escaped a neighbor's apartment unnoticed and slid into the toilet through the drains, though its exact route was still unclear.
Imagine if he turned around and saw it. And, what did I eat?
A reptile, a snake, apparently.
An albino turd.
A reptile expert contacted by emergency services removed the snake from the toilet, cleaned it, and returned it to its owner.
It's cleaned off your snake.
Its victim was treated in the hospital for minor injuries. The 24-year-old neighbor who owns 11 snakes, all non-venomous constrictors, has been reported to the prosecutor's office on suspicion of negligently causing bodily harm.
Any long-term damage from the bite?
They didn't indicate. It didn't sound like it was that
bad?
Bad, but
I think any snake bite on your ball sack is bad.
I'd call that a bad day. All right, and there you go. That's what I have in the Bizarre File for now.
Thanks for listening to Preston and Steve's Bizarre File podcast. Go to PrestonandSteve.com, click on demand for full show podcasts and to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
It's a fact. All cars will eventually break down. If you have CarShield, you can protect yourself from the high cost of auto repairs. And they're America's #1 auto protection company. Your transmission, engine, and car's computer system are all covered. Get the ultimate vehicle service protection. Call CarShield now at 800-440-5931. That's 800-440-5931.